Hey YouTube, Kira Qualia here, bringing you all an update to my Blaster Dark, Shadow Paladin, Cardfight Vanguard deck profile for post Team Dragon's Vanity. We got a few new cards to support Blaster Dark in the latest Cardfight Vanguard Extra Boosters set. There's a couple cards that just help with the overall consistency of calling Blaster Dark out to the field, which helps for the overall abilities of Illusionary, Revenger, Mordred, Phantom, and just being able to, provide power, consistency, and overall the whole aspect to the playstyle that the Mordred, Phantom, Blaster Dark deck provides. I really do like the results, and all the new cards we got for the deck really gives me an homage to, Blaster Dark when he was part of the Revengers for premium format, but it's a really fun deck, so let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So to start off, for the grade 3s, I'm running 4 Illusionary, Revenger, Mordred, Phantom. I have 3 of the SVRs. Just need one more to fully max out the playset because that's the preferred one I want for the deck. But moving along, this card on Vanguard, when your Blaster Dark is placed on rear, you get an Imaginary Gift Force. So you can get multiple Imaginary Gift Force for this deck in one turn, which helps for the overall pressure of your Vanguard and rear guard attacks. Most of the time I like to do Imaginary Gift Force 1 just for those big attack numbers you can do. Force 2 comes up a couple times, but most of the time you don't have enough pressure for your attacks when you're just using Imaginary Gift Force 2. For just that additional critical, you want that power up, which Imaginary Gift Force 1 provides most of the time. And if you can get multiples and want them on one, rear guard or Vanguard circle, I definitely find Imaginary Gift Force 1 to be the preferred one. And when it attacks, if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, you can counterblast 1, stand all of your Blaster Dark, and they get plus 10,000 until end of turn. So along with the additional power you can do with Illusionary, Revenger, Mordred, Phantom, along with the Imaginary Gift Force 1 markers, that's my preferred time to do so. But, Force 2 can pop up just for those restand critical pressures. It all comes down to player preference and the specific playstyle you're going to be doing during that particular game when it comes to what Imaginary Gift Force marker you want to use. For the grade 3s, for the backup, I am running 2 Danger Lunge Dragon. On Vanguard, when placed, Soul Blast 1 and return a grade 2 card from your drop zone to your hand. So it helps for the recycle power if you want to build up your Blaster Darks. For the turn, you ride into Illusionary, Revenger, Mordred, Phantom using this card. And on Vanguard or rear, when it attacks, if you have 3 or more force markers, Soul Blast a grade 3 until end of that battle. This unit gets plus 10,000 in critical, plus 1, and your opponent cannot call Sentinels from the hand. So it's a Vanguard or rear guard ability, so you can even call your Danger Lunge to rear after you build up your Vanguard circle with your Mordred Phantom, giving you that pressure with this unit alone. But most of the time with Mordred Phantom, I like to go for the Blaster Darks on the rear guard so you can have the restand power with your units. So most of the time I just like to go for the Danger Lunge Dragon for the first ride Vanguard option if I have the Blaster Dark in the drop zone to recycle back, and then riding into the Mordred Phantom after that. But for the preferred rear guard grade 3, I'm running 2 of the new Onyx Dust Dragon. On Vanguard or rear when placed, if Blaster Dark is not on your rear guard, you can counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1, search your deck for up to 1 Blaster Dark, call it to rear, and shuffle your deck. So it gives you that Blaster Dark that works very, very well with your Mordred Phantom. And on rear, if Blaster Dark is on your rear guard circle, this unit gets boost. So you can even move this card back and call Blaster Dark so you can have the multiple ones if you have one in your hand already saved, along with the additional one you called off of your Onyx Dust Dragon. Then have at least the 2 on the field with Mordred Phantom on your Vanguard. You have the pressure needed for your multiple attacks, and you can even wait for the second attack to boost with your Onyx Dust Dragon, making for the perfect complementary backup grade 3 for your cards to go for. Some people, if you don't even like the Danger Lunge, I might even recommend running 4 of this card altogether, since most of your counterblasts go to your Blaster Dark plays, but still you can rely on calling them out with this card as well for the consistency. And that is it for the grade 3s. We'll now move on to the grade 2s. We spoke about this card long enough, but your main grade 2 to rely on is Blaster Dark. On Vanguard or rear, when placed, counterblast 1, your opponent chooses one of his or her rear guards and retires it. So early game pressure, especially if your opponent calls rear guards, but if they don't call rear guards, you can fully benefit from the Vanguard once per turn effect. If your opponent has no rear guards, discard a card from your hand, and this unit gets drive plus 1 until end of turn. So having Blaster Dark have Twin Drive makes for even more pressure after you've already retired one of your opponent's rear guards, and then you're able to do a twin drive with Blaster Dark as long as their rear guards are completely clear, which your opponent may try and avoid by calling more than one rear guard, because then you'll have to either rely on retiring 2 units, which can easily be done if you have 2 Blaster Darks and the counter blast to do so. But if not, you're still going for that pressure by retiring one and then just attacking with the normal drive check by saving a card in your hand as well. And I do want to run 4 Nullity, Revenger, Masquerade. Just haven't been able to get to more of them. So if you don't have Nullity, Revenger, Masquerade, I recommend running Darkness, Maiden, Maka just as a substitute until then. But with Nullity, Revenger, Masquerade on a Vanguard or rear, when placed, look at 7 cards on the top of your deck, reveal up to 1 Illusionary, Revenger, Mordred, Phantom, or Blaster Dark from among them, put it into your hand, and shuffle your deck. If you put a card from your hand, retire one of your rear guards, which isn't that big of a problem. We have plenty of rear guard fodder that we can retire also with this deck. And during the battle attack to Vanguard, it gets plus 3,000, paying an homage to the original Nullity, Revenger, Masquerade being a 12k attacker also. But the search power for either the grade 3 ride target you prefer, or then the very important grade 2 for the deck, Blaster Dark, Nullity, Revenger, Masquerade helps for all these scenarios, being able to search out plenty of different cards for you to use in the deck also. And for the last of the grade 2s, I am running 3 of the new Knight of Entrancement Khalit on rear or guard circle. If Blaster Dark is on Vanguard or rear, this unit gets plus 10,000 power and plus 10,000 shield. So it's just a continuous effect if you have these cards set up, especially early game pressure-wise, and Blaster Dark's on your Vanguard. With that twin drive power, you can hit for enormous numbers, and you're not even on your grade 3 ride target yet. So having this as your go-to option for your ride targets is especially powerful in the deck as well, which is why I like to run 3 of this card just as the backup numbers for your grade 2s. I might even consider dropping one of my grade 1 numbers just to have an additional of this unit in the deck, but we are running Imaginary Gift Force, so it gets kind of cloggy at times since you do need the grade 1s for some of the boost numbers, which is why I decided to run only 3 of this card in the deck. And that is it for the grade 2s. We'll now move on to the grade 1s. I run 4 Transient Revenger Masquerade on rear. Counterblast 1, put this unit into your soul. Call a Blaster Dark from your drop zone to rear, and that unit gets plus 5,000 until end of turn. So just a good way to get Blaster Dark back from the drop zone as well using a grade 1. And during the battle, it boosted. This unit gets plus 3,000. So even on pressure early game, if you call this behind Blaster Dark and boost with it, you'll hit for the 20,000 power with this card alone. But the recycle power, especially when you have Mordred Phantom as your Vanguard, helps for the Imaginary Gift Force that you can provide with this card, and then even if you have multiple Blaster Darks to call out afterwards, more and more force markers to acquire also. And I'm also running 4 of the new Inflexible Arrow Muorta. With this one on rear, when your Blaster Dark in the same column as this unit stands, Soul Blast 1 and stand this unit, and this unit gets plus 15,000 power until end of turn. So the ideal setup obviously would be to have these cards along with your Mordred Phantom on your Vanguard circle, and then the additional Blaster Darks, because then after you boost with the 2 attacks for your Blaster Darks, if you have the soul to build up, which you can easily do with your Transient Revenger Masquerade, attack with Mordred Phantom using its own skill to restand, then having the soul to stand these with enormous power, along with the 10,000 power that Mordred Phantom provided also, and the 25,000 power boost of these 2 cards for an enormous attack when you attack with your Blaster Darks on the field also. So for this, definitely need it. It's your go-to boost card for your Shadow Paladin pressure play with Mordred Phantom and Blaster Dark. And for the additional retire power, just sifting through the deck, I run 4 Skull Witch Nemain. The search for your plus 5,000 power can be for Nemain herself, but she just can't search or use the ability again after you've already used it once during that turn. But still really, really great. It sifts through the deck, providing you cards to retire for other cards, including your Nullity Revenger Masquerade when you don't want to retire important ones you may have on the field, like Inflexible Arrow. So the 4 Skull Witch Nemain definitely do help for that overall pressure. And for additional 5k power cards to call, I run 2 Blackwing Swordbreaker on rear. When placed, Counterblast 1, draw a card, and if this unit was placed from hand, it gets plus 5,000. If not, you're still going to get the draw when you use it to call out from Skull Witch Nemain onto the field. It doesn't even call it as rest, so you can still boost with it. All you do is rest the Nemain, which could be the preferred retire card for your other cards also. And that's it for the grade 1s. Moving on to the grade 0s, your starter. Always like to go with Full Ball for the Blaster Dark deck, since it was Ren's go-to starter as well for the original Vanguard series. Still being the draw 1 when wrote upon, but soon to be the errated card also for the shield power when your opponent's Vanguard is a grade 1. And then for the trigger units, I am running the 8 critical still for the pressure overall you can do with your Mordred attack, and then multiple Blaster Darks. So 4 Darkside Trumpeteer and 4 Grim Revenger for 8 critical in total. And I am also running 4 Dark Shield MacLear, being the Draw Trigger Sentinel for the Shadow Paladin deck, just keeping my grade 1 options completely open while using this card. And I also run the 4 Abyss Healer, just being the preferred, I think that's actually the only heal trigger for Shadow Paladins currently in the standard format as well. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Definitely glad I was able to update Blaster Dark. I had no idea I was getting new support in Teams Dragon Vanity until I obviously opened the booster set. But really glad with the support we did get. It helps for the overall consistency of Mordred Phantom. But that is it for the deck profile. Until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And Kira Qualia out.